And this is really important to understand, well, how do you actually get out of the plot? And either you just draw the line because you had enough of it, or we've got to evolve out. And evolve out takes some learning, it takes some time. So if you think about just time, and then you think about a situation, and the situation is going, okay. And then we have some sort of stimulus. And, that stimulus is now going to be interpreted. Now, you can interpret that stimulus, it's possible to interpret that stimulus from anything from ecstasy to agony. But what you're going to do is that you're going to put the meaning on that. Now, once you actually put your meaning on it, if it's coming from reflective mind, you then might insert into this space a response. If it's coming from reflexive, you might insert into that an automatic an automatic reaction. Now, if you insert an automatic reaction, chances are your behaviours are somewhere on that lower paragraph. Now, if you put an automatic reaction there, so that's the reaction, now you'll actually feel that for a period of time. Now, generally what happens once you feel that for a period of time? What happens next, generally? Sorry? You want to? You do? You would return to a status quo. Yeah, okay, so you return to a status quo. Now, so let's say the return to the status quo is here. Return to the status quo. Now, that may or may not be slightly less than what was over here. Chances are it is. But what happens to the feelings of that? What happens to the feelings of that process? Sorry? No. Well, where does the feeling go? So Michelle said we return to the status quo. Sorry? Yeah, it gets hidden somewhere, doesn't it? And the return to the status quo is just the extent to which I can actually numb out the feeling. But the feeling's still there, isn't it? So the feeling has impacted you. And because you haven't dealt with it, or it hasn't been dealt with, it's still there. It's still there. If it's still there, does it impact you? Yeah. But can you feel it? No, because it's numb. And so now we have all of these unresolved things that just kind of sort of act like sedimentary layers. Now, what does that look like, apart from a wonderful sedimentary drawing? If I was to turn that this way, it just looks like this, doesn't it? And here's your experience. Now, you're filtering all of those, your new experience, but you're filtering through those sedimentary layers of stuff that's never been dealt with. So they have to continually impact the present, don't they? Now, there's a neat little trick, right? Yeah, I mean, there's actually a neat little trick that we actually do with these. And hopefully I can show you later this afternoon what that neat little trick is. And if you're aware that that's what's actually going on, and you are doing some, growth work and personal development work, your whole life can actually change before your eyes.
I find that for myself, I'll bury it so I can keep going on.
Yes.
But it will surface days later.
Yes.
So it doesn't stay comfortable. Maybe there's residues that might stay buried, but it that needs to come out comes out.
Oh, look, I'm sure that process happens, but what about all the ones that didn't come out? So you're aware of the ones that do resurface, and you may have a really good way of dealing with them. But what about all the ones that, are there from years and years and years and years and years ago? And I'm sure that if you looked for it in you somewhere, you would actually still find a deep hurt if you actually chose to look for it. Well, that means it's still there and it's still buried. So that means it still has to have an impact in some way, shape or form.
And it's the same thing.
Yep, just playing out. So now you think about, well, okay, so if there are all those sorts of things there, and they're the ones that I kind of sort of know about, what about the ones I don't know about? How does that actually affect productivity? How does that affect your ability to connect purpose and passion together? How does that affect your ability to connect passion and income together?
Well, if you deny sections of yourself, you deny.
Yeah, so there's a major impact. And so the extent to which this is a lag time. So this is where you return to the status quo. Now, if you had chosen a response, you don't go there. Because you're now actually thinking and you're giving that the meaning, and then you might say, hang on, I've got any number of choices here. Why am I going to give it a meaning that will deplete me? Why don't I just give it a meaning that will actually spark me up? Now, can you see that that's actually much more productive by being able to respond rather than react habitually? Now, that is a skill. Now, it's not a talent, it's a skill. Now, how do you actually learn a skill? Practice it. So what do you want? And what do we want to avoid?
The lag time.
No.
Feeling. Well, you want to, when they do, you want to be conscious and respond to it appropriately and make it positive.
Yeah, that's lovely in theory, but what do we seek to avoid? Well, we seek to avoid the very thing that could make us strong.
Yeah.
Because we don't like the button pushing. But how am I ever going to get a skill if I don't actually continually put myself in that environment? So the thing that we seek to avoid is the thing that can actually make us strong. Because we avoid it, we don't get strong.